Happy Thursday. I had to stop myself from saying Friday. We have been so in the rhythm of Friday Live, question of the week, but this is a special day. It is Thursday. We are going live 4 times over the next few days. Today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Monday. So today is Thursday and it is Thanksgiving in the United States. I did hear quite a bit of response from that in my email inbox when I announced that I would be doing lives today, because many of you are out and about. I know Americans get a kick out of a Canadian saying that, because apparently we have an accent. I don't hear it. I don't hear the out and about accent. But a lot of you are with family or watching football or roasting veggies or perhaps some sort of poultry bird. And so happy Thanksgiving to everybody south of the border. We had ours weeks ago. So I kind of feel like the Canadian, I'm sorry, I know we have Thanksgiving because our harvest is so freaking early, but Americans have to eat turkey like in rapid succession. If you're into the traditional turkey dinner, you do it now and then you do it a month from now. And frankly, in our house, we're still recovering from the turkey from October because we use every single part of it. We, of course, eat the turkey. Then we eat leftover turkey all week long, the meat and all the trimmings. And then, of course, I boil the carcass in a giant stock pot and I make soup from that. And, of course, then we strip out all the bones and my wife makes bone broth from that. And so, yeah, we're just like, after all that, after using every ounce of that bird for a few weeks, we're like, okay, that's enough until until Christmas. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody who is celebrating. And many of you are not eating turkey, maybe have other vegetarian traditions, but thanks for bringing me along today. I really appreciate it. I know some of you can't make it because of Thanksgiving. A lot of you, though, who can't usually make it to lives can make it. And this was what I was kind of saying in response to how some people are inconvenienced by this. Others are like, that's great. I can finally make it because it's a holiday. So everybody who's here from all around the world, thanks for joining. Today, I want to talk to you about essentially, this is a world premiere that will help you be as thorough and as efficient as you can be as a pro wedding officiant. Over the last 10 years of officiating, I have had to kind of confront, especially earlier in my early days of officiating, how do I get everything I need from my couple, make sure the ceremony is everything they want, but also none of the things that they don't want? And how do I not bother them excessively? How do I narrow down the process so it's on that razor's edge of as much as I need to be in their faces and as much as I need from them, and not going overboard, not making them feel overwhelmed, discouraged? I do hear from officiants who say, my couple doesn't answer my questionnaire, my couple seems to ignore my emails. That's because they have so many vendors. So when you reach out to your couple, you need them to know, okay, this is important. It doesn't happen often. When somebody sends you 100 emails, you start to ignore them after a while. We never want that as an officiant. So recently, I've never done this. I can't believe I'm this many years in, especially after releasing Academy and Unboring Wedding Academy and Unboring Wedding Pro. Those are two separate courses that essentially, Academy is all about the ceremony process. Pro is about the business process. So this is kind of like a harmonization of all those steps. And with a number like 36, I'm not padding it. I was so hoping when I counted up the steps last week, because I've never done this before, that it would be a nice round number, 30 steps, 35 steps. With a kind of a gnarly number like 36, that I'm really sticking to the essentials. It's not the prettiest number, but I do believe we want as few steps and as many steps as we absolutely need. So I'm so excited to dive into this with you. Thank you so much for being here on a Thursday with me. We are going to dive in. So I just want to give you an overview of what today is going to be look like. So we are going to go through about the first 15, 16 steps or so. I don't want tomorrow to be too heavy. Tomorrow will be part 2 of the process. There are 36 steps. No way we can cover them today, but I don't want them to go 3 days long because on Saturday, I want to talk to you about what you need to write the killer, incredible, jaw-dropping, crowd-pleasing, couple-blowing away love story, my love story secrets. I also want to talk to you then and demo out the Love Story Caster, this incredible tool we developed over this past year that writes your couple's love story for you in a super fun way. And so more on that on Saturday. And then on Monday, I do want to talk to you about coming up with a solution statement for your officiating practice. This was my talk on stage at Wedding MBA a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas. And so if you missed that and were curious, I'm actually going to present that to you, kind of an adjusted version for this medium. Quite different when you're on a stage in front of more than 100 people in the cold spotlight. But, you know, I'm super comfortable here. Stop for a minute, okay? Stop. Oh, we've got some crazy things happening. Stop watching. Stop stealing all our bandwidth. Give me some bandwidth for an hour or so. Hopefully this doesn't become too much of an interruption. I'm going to pop in the chat because, of course, what I love about being live with you is engaging with you and seeing who's here. So loads of people said hello. If you are here, please say hello in the chat. I would love to interact with you. Some of you are already saying you can't make it for the whole thing. You're popping in to say hi. There will be a replay email that goes out if you are on my list for afterwards. And so that you will get that email in your inbox, or you can just come to the channel where you're watching now. YouTube will do its thing and process the video, and then it will be up in the live section of my channel, along with all the other live videos that I do on Fridays and that kind of thing. It's all there for you to watch again. Jamie is here from Majorca, Spain. Amazing. You are, well, we've got Italy watching, so that's incredible. Hello, Carla. And John is here. Yep, you are from Australia. So do you win, John? You're up again late, 2 in the morning or something like that. Late, early. But Mark Cantor, Mark was here. He clearly wins. He was here super early, and so the bird is the word. Oh yeah, boomer reference. Come on, I know that one, Mark. I'm Gen X technically, 1979, just on the cusp of XY. So yeah, that's a terrible song, by the way. That's that. You know when they say they don't make music like they used to, and then you're like, but what about that song? I think they do make music just like they used to, and that's coming from a Beatles fan. Okay, so I do absolutely love the music from that generation, but also there were some weird ones. So thank you for that bird as the word reference, and this is why I love going live, because who knew that would come up when I'm trying to talk about officiating weddings here. Okay, so we had a bit of a crash on the internet there. I'm going to just readjust, get some slides going here. All right, so there's no way you can read that one, but let's see, there we go. So I'm gonna have it just in the bottom corner, the steps we're gonna move through. I know you're here for the teaching. People are still trickling in, and I'm just getting caught up in the chat, and things are going to fly by while I'm talking. I am going to try to circle around on occasion. I do want to take any of your questions, but again, there are 16 steps, so we do need to move at a fairly efficient pace. But I will talk about what I think are the most salient points for each of the steps. Again, this is all exploded out in Unboring Wedding Academy and Unboring Wedding Pro. And of course, we do have an amazing sale this weekend, a Black Friday Caster weekend, I'm calling it, because we are celebrating the Love Story Caster, revolutionizing our process and weddings in general for 2023. And so You definitely want to, if you don't have all the Unboring Wedding things, as many of you in the chat do. I'm seeing lots of members who have Academy and Pro and are on the unboringwedding.com/certified page. So love that you're here, even though theoretically you know everything. But if you haven't grabbed that stuff, do jump on my list. There will be a link afterwards, unboringweddingacademy.com/Friday first. You'll see that in a slide coming up at the end. So let me dive in here. Let's see, Victoria's here from London, UK. That's amazing. You officiated your brother's wedding. Now you're thinking about launching your own business. I mean, that that makes my day, Victoria. That is why I do what I do. So many of us started. The very first wedding I officiated was for friends of mine. So many of us started that way, officiating for a friend or a relative. And now I would argue the best officiants and celebrants on the planet did start that way, but then we train, we work it, we practice. And once you get a style and a system that works, people are beside themselves because unfortunately, friends, it's still too rare to see an absolutely incredible wedding ceremony. But those of us inside Unboring Wedding are on this revolutionary process of changing weddings. And so thank you for being on this journey with me, Victoria, and everybody else. Beverly is here. Happy Thanksgiving from Scotland. Oh, I'd love to know, Beverly, this is way off topic. Do you have a Thanksgiving-y kind of thing? You're wishing those in the States happy Thanksgiving. And of course, in Canada, we've already had ours. Is there a UK-ish version of Thanksgiving? Pardon my ignorance. Sherry's here from Devon, UK. So a lot of UKers here. Karen and Ralph are here. Amazing. Got to meet you in Vegas at Wedding MBA. You did say you're ready to pull the trigger on Unboring Wedding Pro. That's coming at you tomorrow. Big special. I even told you, hold off until Black Friday weekend. So thrilled and excited to have you on board. Eva's Weddings, that's good to see you, Ava. Cooking over here, good. Cooking up a storm, awesome. My goodness, there's so many of you, I can hardly catch up. Jane is here, and Sandra's here, JBL. Sorry, we're late. Hey, you're at the golf range. I told you, put me in your pocket. I did say I love turkey and I love football, but I love golf too, so thrilled to be along. Beverly says we don't have any of that here. Well, you do have haggis, so that's something. And Jane says, hey, and Alan's here. Amazing. Celebrant Academy member, which is totally different than Unboring Wedding Academy. But every time Sabra's here and Alan's here, that's kind of like a counterpart course. And of course, the Celebrant Academy teaches you how to do everything: funerals, naming ceremonies, all the good stuff. Huge fans of everybody over there. So let's get... I'm too big for your pocket. Let's get into it. While I still have a voice left. Again, this is the first of 4 lives over the next 5 days. Number 1, the very first thing that happens is, let's assume you have something out there, okay? So this is 36 steps. I guess there could be some steps before this first one. You've got to be out there on the internet somewhere. And of course, this weekend, I'm also marking down my website special. We have a DFY website. So you should have a website. You should have a Google My Business profile. You might have something out there on Wedding Wire or The Knot or something like that. You know, put your shingle out there. Make sure you get found. But to kick off the process officially, a couple is going to send you some sort of email, some sort of notification. I'm noticing the millennials are super into just shooting a message off on Instagram or Facebook, which really caught me by surprise at first. I used to send them back to my website. Please fill out a formal inquiry. I'm getting better now at dealing with messages that are inquiring. I got to say, the tough part of that is you kind of got to do it right away. When you get an email, you can flag it and kind of triage your inbox and say, okay, I'll get to that. But when you get a message, you got to just jump on it. So you might want to have something copied somewhere, ready to paste in. And essentially, the reason why I wanted to start here is because, well, this is where we start. But as I told you, I'm going to try to mention 1 or 2 really salient points without teaching you all 16 hours of Unboring Wedding Academy and Pro, because believe it or not, both courses run about 8 hours. That said, the Love Story Caster saves a ton of time now inside Academy. But obviously, we're not here for 16 hours of training this weekend. a lot of you are cooking and golfing and things like that. As much as I love spending time with you and being live, don't have quite that much time. Sharon says, I get so much business now from Instagram and Facebook. I know, right? Me too. So it's pretty interesting that you got to deal with it. So here's the thing. When you are crafting your inquiry, here is what I've learned. I want to do, and this is coming up in further steps, a chemistry check, or some people call it a vibe check. I like that too, with every single couple that I book. Now, some of you just do wham bam notary signings and things like that, where people just say, I need papers signed, and you're like, for a couple of $100, I'll do that. Okay, I want to be inclusive in terms of it's a big house. A lot of us do many different kinds of ceremonies, but I'm always under the assumption myself, especially for Unboring Wedding Academy members, graduates of that style, the big wedding is still where the major cash is, I would say, the business is, for lack of a better word. We'll talk more about this on Saturday when I talk about why tell the love story. But here's what I mean. Basically, for a signing, you're only ever going to be able to charge a ceiling level. You can't be like, well, other officiants charge $200, but I charge $800 to sign wedding papers. You're not going to be able to do that. However, you will be able to level up when you blow people away and provide an absolutely incredible full-blown ceremony. You can charge more and more and more for that, and focus on the client and give them more and more attention. And so that is what I am kind of taking for granted for that kind of ceremony, where you're going to work with the couple, where they're going to have a wedding party, say, where they're going to have guests and be at a nice venue. So again, I don't want to be exclusive, but that is kind of the underlying assumption as I go about these steps. And you can kind of sort through for yourself if you're saying, well, I just do quick wham bam elopements, I just do quick wham bam signings. That's great too, a great way to supplement your income. I would say, and we've talked about this on a Friday Live before, just make sure you schedule those more during the week so that your weekends, if you're trying to grow your business, are free for the big bookings, okay? All right, so we're only on number one here because I have not been ever known to be short-winded. All right, but I'm going to take another sip of my decaf with drinking chocolate. If you're wondering what's in the mug, I need a bit of energy today. So here's how you're going to reply to the inquiry. You're going to have a reply that basically says, the goal of the inquiry reply is to get your couple into a meeting with you. I used to say, make sure it's always face-to-face. That's still a great idea. But of course, COVID massively increased our tolerance for this kind of thing, video chat. So I'm noticing a lot of couples now, they just say, oh, we would just like to do a video chat. And I'm not going to force them to come meet me at the local coffee shop. And so that's just the way culture has changed because of COVID. And so now I always say, let's meet. Now, the first thing I make them do, make sure they have done, is check out my website if they have come to me from another source. So something like Wedding Wire or Google My Business or something like that. I can tell if they didn't come through my website form. And so I just want to make sure that they know my style of officiating. So my first paragraph is typically about that. And the second paragraph is I basically say, check out my website, make sure I'm right for you. Then, I say every couple who I book, I make sure to meet with first, and so we can suss each other out. I want to make sure you want to work with me. I want to hear about your wedding. And so let's meet, because that's where I will answer all your questions. This is huge. And so if I can boil this down to one thing, you want to say, you don't want to get into a back and forth with your couple about all the questions and the total FAQ, because then when you meet them, you have nothing to discuss, frankly. And then it's like an awkward first date. So I know sometimes I've heard officiants and celebrants say, oh, I reply to an inquiry with a document of like 36 FAQs and all their questions are answered. I don't like to do that because I want to, I have a few FAQ answers on my website, but I want to say to them, I want to be able to answer all your questions in our little chat. And make sure you say it's like half an hour. You don't need to meet for an hour for this chem check, especially online. You sit down, you chat, you talk to them, and we'll get to the chem check soon. So you're going to reply to the inquiry with just that. hey, let's meet. Okay, that's step one. I'm going to keep checking, monitoring the chat here, see if there's any questions. Rookie Fisherman says, how long will it be today? I'm going to try to keep it to, it'll be an hour at the most. I'm going to commit to that right now, Rookie Fisherman. I forget your name, Rookie Fisherman. What is it? Although Rookie Fisherman is fun to say. Ines here from Cancun. Hey, hugs from Cancun. I'll take it. Thank you. Wish I was in Cancun with you today. It's a chilly New Brunswick day here, just like North Dakota, as Ben said. Hey, Jane, you're here too. Thank you for the enthusiastic yes. Gotta go. Have a great day. Okay, so let's move on then. I heard no specific questions about that to number 2. Again, if you have a question, I'll circle back around. Schedule the chemistry check. So assuming they get back to you and say, that's great, then schedule the chemistry check. Now, you want to do it fairly quickly. You don't want to say, great, 3 weeks from now, let's meet, if at all possible, because they might cast about. They might meet other officiants or celebrants in that time. They might cool their heels a little bit. So you want to lock this in as quickly as possible. If it is in person, and this blew my mind when I was starting out as an officiant, wow, they will meet me. So when I was in Toronto, when I started out, I started thinking I needed to meet couples wherever they were, and it's the opposite. A couple, you can tell the couple, please meet me at X coffee shop, or, there was a cafe in Whole Foods nearby me. Now there's a favorite coffee shop here in St. Stephen, where I say, please meet me here. We can sit and connect. And of course, if it's on Google Meet, which is what I use, I just find it's the easiest, most approachable. I did Zoom, but then I moved to Google Meet. That's how I do my chemistry checks. Try to lock that in as quickly as possible. And again, tell them it's just 30 minutes. Looking forward to connecting and hearing about your day and answering any questions you have. Okay, so that's step 2. Great, clicking right along. Now, here's something that I learned the hard way. Send a reminder email the day of. So again, we're 3 steps into things that you have had to do with your couple to book them, to make this easy for them. I love Google Meet, especially if it is when it's a virtual, because you can set up the meeting ahead of time and send them the link ahead of time, and they can accept the invite ahead of time. So it's on both of your calendars. It's absolutely great. I love that you can set up a Google Meet a few days or days before it happens. It doesn't have to be at the time. And so the day of or the morning of, when we have a chemistry check, a lot of you know I have an operations manager named Jen. She helps me with Academy members, pro members, website customers, and of course with my clients as well. I just have too many things to answer on my emails. So Jen will now, but before Jen, it was something that I did, send an email reminder the day of and say, hey, I am so excited to meet with you today. Just a quick reminder and confirming that we're still good to go at the Honey Beans Cafe at 1 o'clock today, or on Google Meet, and here's the link. So again, paste that link again for them. You want to make it as easy as possible. I've learned this with Academy and Pro and online customers in that community, but also for couples. We want to make it as super easy. It's called frictionless, right? That's kind of the buzzword when we're dealing with any kind of online customer experience or online shopping, as frictionless as possible. So of course, when you send them the link, when you send them the reminder, this is what happened to you. If you're on my list, I wanted you to join me live today. I desperately wanted as many people here as possible. And so 5 minutes before we went live, I did send you that email saying we're about to go live. Here's the link. So follow that example when you have couples who want to book you. And again, they will be impressed by how organized and how invested in them you are, making it as easy as possible for them. Jennifer is here. Hey, I was just talking about Jen. Here she is, everybody. This is Jennifer Obokata, my operations manager. Her ears were ringing, and so she popped on here. And obviously, Jen keeps everything running smoothly here at Unboring Wedding, and a lot of you know her and have sent emails to her. So it's pretty cool that she's here as well. So that's step number 3. Okay, step number 4 now. You've got them locked in. Let's say you're meeting at 1 o'clock. I'm going to recommend that you do some venue research. This is not an insignificant thing. The first thing you want to do when you sit down, we'll talk about this, in the chemistry check with your couple is say, tell me about your day. Again, this is kind of a basic thing. You get people talking about themselves, whether you're on a first date, whether you're at a conference, get people talking about themselves. Don't you start talking about yourself. Now, ironically, they might be there to answer to ask you a bunch of questions as the officiant, and you are there to present your process to them. That said, though, so you're going to be doing lots of talking. So it's good to get them talking first about their wedding, their dreams, their hopes. And of course, this gives you all the background you need. Some officiants and celebrants start taking notes right then before they're even booked by the couple. And that looks good too. That looks like you're kind of working for them already and super interested in their day. So that said, if you are not familiar with their venue, now in my intake form, I always ask them, where's the wedding? That's one of the questions on unboringwedding.com for a couple inquiring about my availability. I really recommend that you do that as well. That's part of our website template on the Done For You wedding officiant site that we have. You want to know the venue, not just the city. That way you can do a little bit of research. And if you're familiar with the venue, then hey, that's a bonus, right? You sit down with them and you say, I absolutely love the Algonquin Resort. Where are we doing in the Algonquin Resort? Is it the Shaughnessy Room? Is it the Van Horn Room? There's multiple places in that facility. If you're familiar with all of them, maybe you've officiated right away. You have that in common. You're on the same page with them. If not, though, that's okay too. You can just poke around, do some research on a venue, and of course, that venue will typically have a wedding section, photos of their outdoors. Are we doing it? I love the barn venue you've chosen. I've never officiated there. Is it going to be in the meadow? Is it going to be on the deck? Is it going to be inside? What's your vision? What are you thinking? And you can say, I saw it. I had a look. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And that, again, makes it look like you are invested. You are at this point. It's always good to do venue research anyway. And they'll be thrilled. It'll make it easier to describe their day when you know what the venue is going to be like and what the surroundings are going to be like for their wedding ceremony. So that just makes it easier. And a lot of time they're big fans of it. And I know my fellow educator, Bethel Nathan, she often puts as her background, she said at Wedding MBA, the venue, pictures of the venue when she's doing it on video. So that's the full-blown way of doing it. I've got all these gorgeous pictures behind me that I wouldn't want to cover up. But but that is one of those insider hacks to research the venue and even put a picture up behind you if you want. You can steal that idea from Bethel. Okay, so we're at number 6 now. Claudia is here on the big screen. Wow, how's my skin on the big screen? I never really thought of that. That's intimidating. Your feet are up. Good. Loving the workshop. Awesome. You've been doing this for years. Claudia is one I have distinct memories of being on the phone with Claudia years and years and years ago. She is just acing it with kick-ass ceremonies in Southern Ontario. And here she is, feet up, just getting the 36 steps, because why the heck not? And I love that you're here. Now, number 5, meet for the chemistry check. So you arrive early. You can decide whether or not you want to pay for their coffee. It's often a nice gesture. You take your place, or again, on video, make sure your camera's connected and your mic's connected. That's that whole thing that is a little bit of a challenge on video, is you always have those first moments. Can you hear me? Are you hearing me? You're not here. Is my mic? Are you muted? I think you're muted. And that does happen, which is why I find Google Meet really circumvents that. They're very good about saying, hey, you're muted, that kind of thing, but it's not totally avoidable. It's always better to meet somebody in person, because you're not going to say, can you hear me? It's going to be fine, but there's going to be a little bit of a maybe tech glitch. But here's the thing for the chemistry check, and I go into excruciating detail on this in Unboring Wedding Pro, the Pro course, a full hour about how to structure this talk and exactly how to pitch yourself. And I give a demo about my process. So again, if you're thinking of scooping up Pro this weekend, this would be the weekend to do it because of the bundles and the discounts. I go into excruciating detail on it there of how to absolutely ace this, because again, this is your pitch meeting. They're considering whether or not to go with you. You want to put your best foot forward. So you already have my hack about starting with asking them, tell me about your day. You get them to describe your day. Ask as many questions as you can to lubricate the conversation. Then it's time to take control. And what I always say is, so there's two things we can do here. You can pepper me with any questions you have about me, about weddings, about my experience, anything like that. That's one option. The second option is I have a well-honed spiel, and yes, they get a kick out of that word. I don't know if it's like a 40 and up word, but I have a well-honed spiel about my process. Because what I say to them is, I think you are probably interested in knowing what it is like to get from, yes, Mark, we want to book you, to the moment I send you up the aisle married. Okay. So, how do we get from there to here? Most of them say, well, we do have a couple, some of them say we do have a couple questions. Most of them, 99%, say, give us the spiel. And I say, okay, crack my knuckles. And I start describing the process. Ironically, the same process that I'm going to describe for you for the most part. So I basically say, once you pay your 50% retainer, again, use that word, not deposit, non-refundable retainer. Once that's paid, I'm on your calendar, and then we will schedule our workshop, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of the steps we're going to cover over today and tomorrow are the steps that I tell them. I fill them in on how I write their story, what to expect from me every step of the way, what I do on the wedding day, paperwork stuff, et cetera, et cetera. And so they feel really good, really informed. Then when we wrap up, most of the time they say, well, we don't have any questions because that was pretty thorough. And I say, yes, I've given this spiel hundreds of times. And so even for you, maybe it's only been less than a dozen. But when you are there, that's why I have a whole unit on this in Pro, stage 5, prep for the chemistry check. So much more detail than I could do here. You want that, essentially that pitch meeting to go well. You are describing yourself, what you do, and why they should go with you. Okay? So any questions on that? Again, pop them in the chat. But so far, the last comment I see is Claudia with her feet up. So hey, Claudia, don't move. Stay comfortable. And Mark is on his exercise bike. So some of you are sweating it out with me here, and others are just relaxing. Cheers to whatever it is you're doing. Gonna take another sip. Now, in the chemistry check, some couples will decide to book you on the spot. Those are my favorites. You want a call to action at the end. So a lot of time I'll say, have you made a decision, or would you like to discuss it a little bit more? Do end the session with, just like any kind of email or registration page for a program, hey, are you ready? Are you going to do this? So don't just slink away in this meeting. Put it to them. Are you ready to make a decision, or would you like to discuss it? Sometimes they say, we've loved everything we've heard. Let's do this. If they don't do that, send them a follow-up email. So this is one of those optional of the 36 steps. And again, when I was trying to round it out and make it a nice tidy 35 number, I was like, should I include this one? But no, it is important if they say, we will let you know. We're going to talk to another couple of celebrants or officiants. That's fine. Don't feel threatened by that. That's great. That's why I like the idea of a chemistry check. You do not want a 100% booking rate. That means either you're too cheap, kind of bottom of the barrel. You do need couples to say, you're a bit too expensive for us, or we're not absolutely sure this is right for us. Okay. You can't be all things to all people, especially when it comes to price point. And so that is absolutely fine. You know that you are kind of on the leading edge for yourself when you're just not for everybody. And that's totally fine. So don't be threatened by that. But at the end, typically the same day, that night, I send a follow-up email. I say, it was so great to meet with you today. And I just want to let you know that I'm still here to answer any questions if something occurred to you afterwards. But I do want to send you a sample ceremony. And again, I hear some people who are very precious about this. Nobody gets my sample ceremonies. I would say when you're worried about giving a sample ceremony, you're being a little bit too precious about the script, the words that you're saying in the ceremony. And this is where I talk about the 80-20 a lot of the time. I'm planning on making another YouTube video about this coming up. But I think 80% of your focus, your energy, and your work needs to go into writing their love story, which no sample ceremony can have, and being engaging with the guests. Bringing yourself, your personality. Couples want me officiating. They don't want my script. So that is where I say, don't feel threatened. In fact, a lot of couples reply to that email and say, I was crying reading this, and I don't even know this couple. And that's when you know, again, they're reading somebody else's love story, but it's so beautiful. And they're like, I want that for me. So I would say send them a full script, including a great story you or the love story caster has written, and just say, this is something that I have. This is from another wedding. This is not a sample. It's not a template, but it's just an example of what could be your wedding ceremony. And again, when you include a great story, try to pick the story that you feel is absolutely best. That's what I've done. A lot of time they just say, oh my gosh, that's kind of the slam dunk. They want to work with you. Okay, so that's the follow-up email, and then you wait. Now, let's say that could be the end of the line. You get to step 6 and they say, sorry, you're too expensive for us, or sorry, we've gone with somebody else, or that kind of thing. No problem. You did what you could. You followed the steps, and that's it. That will happen sometimes. Number 7, though, let's say they say, absolutely, we're going with you. Great, great. Send them the booking email with the payment method. Okay. So there's a variety of ways to ask for money. I would at least say, so the booking email should at least have a contract and agreement attached. Okay. So even if you're not accepting payment through that email, my website has a plugin called Gravity Forms. I've attached it to Stripe so people can pay, my couples can pay with their credit card right through my website. Some of you I know are doing Venmo or other kind of money transfers, which is fine. So maybe you're not putting that link right in the email, but at the very least, send an email with maybe some sort of DocuSign or something and have them agree to your contract. And again, in Unboring Wedding Pro, I have a full contract template in there. You do not want to officiate any wedding or take any money from somebody without signing an agreement. Because again, a contract is really just about setting expectations properly. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I need from you. We agree about those expectations moving forward. And just so everybody's covered if something unexpected happens. Okay, so make sure you include in that booking email the contract agreement for them to sign off on. In my plugin that I send, a lot of people ask me about this. They have to check a box and say, I agree to the above. And then they enter their payment information and click submit. So it's all kind of in one place in my method. If not yours, then again, wait for the DocuSign to come through. Then you can send the payment link or money transfer link, or if you're doing it through an app, whatever. I know the States and Canada, we have different capabilities there, but get them to sign the contract, then get your booking retainer. I recommend 50% right off the top. That locks you in. I saw in a wedding officiant group today on Facebook that somebody said, "Hey, I haven't gotten paid. I officiated. Couple's not paying." Don't officiate a wedding without being paid in full. Just don't do it, and you'll never have that problem. So you'll see tomorrow. We're going to get to one of my last steps: is the 50% remaining balance that gets sent to them 2 weeks before the wedding. Okay, so Jennifer's here. Jennifer's gone. Have a great day, everyone. Got to run. Thanks for joining us briefly, Jen. She's probably got to go answer some of my emails from members and couples. So thanks, Jen, for being here. Okay, moving right along now. Number 8, when they do pay and you get notified of that, make sure you send them a personal confirmation email reply. Don't just take their money and then have them wonder, did they get it? Anytime anybody sends you any money of any kind, it is an honor. It is such an endorsement. That's why anybody who purchases Unboring Wedding Academy or Pro, they get a personal Bonjoro video from me thanking them. As many of you here are members and you know, anytime somebody purchases any product or service from you, oh my gosh, what an honor, what an endorsement. And so just show that, honor that by saying, I'm so thrilled and excited to work with you. This is where you might want to say the next step is locking in our wedding workshop, but you booked me a year in advance, so I will contact you a few months before your wedding. We'll get that locked in, but right now it's too early. So enjoy the rest of your year. You'll hear from me next spring. That is kind of how we handle the super early bookings. Now, if you're booking, 2-3 months out, then you want to say, thank you so much for the payment. the next step is, and now we're getting ahead of ourselves a bit, but it's unavoidable right here because this is the content of this email. It's time to book our wedding workshop, okay? So you just want to acknowledge payment, say how excited you are to work with them, and then lock in the ceremony planning session. That's what I'm calling the wedding workshop, the ceremony planning session. This is what I wrote my book about, Wedding Zero to Ceremony Hero. The entire book is the ceremony planning session with your couple, because that's where you make sure their ceremony is everything they want and nothing they don't want. So that's what's coming next. So just kind of give them a heads up on that. You would have described that in the chem check. You would have told them the only thing I need from you is that planning session and some homework. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And then so they know it's coming, but this is once they pay, you say that's literally the next step in this process, okay? Number 9, schedule your wedding workshop. So like I said, if it's a year in advance, just put it on ice. They don't want to hear from you for 9 months. You don't need to hear from them. They're working with their florist and their decorator and their caterer and their planner, and you don't need to bother them. You don't need to validate your existence by getting up in their face. Just leave them alone. The only thing you need from them next is a ceremony planning session. They've paid for the privilege of sitting on your calendar and reserving that date. And now you're ready to schedule your wedding workshop with them. Now, this is a 1-hour meeting. So you send them an email, say, it's time to meet for 1 hour. In this meeting, whether it's online or in person, at this stage, I do prefer in person because we are establishing that connection with them, the connection that is going to go a long way on their wedding day. These touch points of a chemistry check, a wedding workshop with them, and then the rehearsal. I call those the 3 touch points with the couple, where you're getting comfortable with each other, learning to laugh with each other, that getting acquainted on a deeper level. Those are actually important for the vibe that everyone's going to feel on the wedding day. So when it's avoidable, when it's unavoidable, I do it on video. But if we can help it at all, I like to get in person together. Again, buy them a coffee at the coffee shop and say, let's sit down for an hour, meet me here and so hash out the date. Again, this is the kind of thing that Jen does for me. Sometimes there's some back and forth stuff, but you get it locked in on the calendar. It's scheduled. And then again, this one should be easy by now. It's kind of a repeat. Send them a day of reminder. Hey there, I just want to confirm today's September 12th. Maybe you scheduled this a month ago, 2 months ago. And you want to say, we're meeting for our wedding workshop today at X coffee shop. Looking forward to seeing you there. Now, you might wonder, when is this meeting? It is 4 to 6 weeks before the day. All members, say it with me now, 4 to 6 weeks before the day. I found this to be the sweet spot. So if the wedding day is, September 1st, we're having that meeting mid-July, late July, typically. Why? Because it's not so far away that they have no clue. You're going to go through every granular detail of their ceremony, hit them with things they didn't think about. It just starts feeling more real for them when it's that close, but it's not too close. So this is the thing. Coming out of that meeting, typically there's 3, 4, 5 items that the couple is still thinking about, not sure of, have to discuss, have to check with somebody else. And so you don't want it so close that they're panicked and saying, we don't have time for, we don't know the things that our officiant just told us. When it's 4 to 6 weeks before the day, there's time for anything. Do they want a reading? Do they want a ritual? Do they need to talk to that family member about, being an usher, whatever it is, anything that you hit them with that they didn't know about, and it is your job to do that, go over everything in detail. You want them to feel like, no problem, no biggie. We still got 5 weeks to decide on things like that. Okay. So that's why you're having the meeting. Then send them a reminder on the day of. Like I say, I learned this the hard way. I showed up for too many meetings and they didn't show, or I showed up even the chemistry check, whatever it was. Oh my gosh, it totally slipped our mind. Oh my gosh, we thought it was in the calendar. So on the day of, I've learned, okay, this is wasting everybody's time. If you don't send that reminder, remind them of the time and the location, and just say, see you there. And my goodness, how many times, I can't tell you, oh my gosh, Mark, something's come up. Oh my gosh, thank goodness you sent us this, because we forgot and we wouldn't be able to make it because we're in Cancun, that kind of thing. It happens. And so save yourself a lot of time. That is why these 2 steps are in here. Okay, next, prepare your ceremony planning spreadsheet. You are going to go into this meeting ideally with a spreadsheet. Of course, if you're in Unboring Wedding Academy, you simply copy that and bring it with you. That's part of the resources, one of my tools that are in there. Or, get my book here. You want to walk through, get my 10-step resource, my YouTube video. You want to walk in with a semblance of an outline of a ceremony and start walking your couple through every single step. Okay, starting at, it's half an hour before, let's brainstorm. Where are you, marrier one? Where are you, marrier two? Who's showing up in a limo? Who's in a bridal suite? Who's greeting the guests? What music is playing? When we're lining up at the back, who's coming in, etc., etc., etc. Way too much detail to go in here. Like I said, this is a 1 hour stage one in Unboring Wedding Academy, and I wrote an entire book about it. If you're not familiar with this, make sure you grab Unboring Wedding Academy tomorrow by joining my sale. But other than that, you want to be ready with some sort of ceremony outline to walk them chronologically through. And my spreadsheet has 75 cells of every single thing. Who are all the people in the wedding, photographer, DJ, all your party, all et cetera, et cetera. Are there readings? Are there rituals? Are there religious elements? When you come down the aisle, do you want me to ask who gives this person to be married? Or do you want a more contemporary version, et cetera, et cetera? There's 100 things that could be said here. But prepare that spreadsheet. So Unboring Wedding Academy members just have to make a copy and say Sam and Alex's wedding, and walk into the ceremony planning session, the wedding workshop. I always bring my laptop, I open it up, and I show them what I'm about to do. So that's the next step. You show up, you meet, buy them a coffee, sit down, chit chat, turn around. I say, look, this is the spreadsheet I'll be filling out here. We are going to chronologically walk through your ceremony in excruciating detail. It is my job to make sure no stone is left unturned. I want to hit you with every detail. I want this to be everything you want it to be, nothing you don't want it to be. And one of the hacks I say inside Unboring Wedding Academy when I teach this whole stage is, you're going to tell them this, you are going to feel so much better at the end of this meeting. Because right now, you feel a lot of trepidation. You don't know what to do. You don't know what's up and what's down and what's going to happen and what's not. It is my job to walk you through and kind of realize the ceremony that you have in your mind, put it on paper, literally, and then I will send you your script. So then you tell them, after this meeting, I'm going to send you your script. I'm going to send you your homework. That's all you need from me. So you tell them some of those details at the end of the meeting after you've gone through it. Why is it just 1 hour, you ask? You say, it sounds like so much detail. It's only 1 hour, and I tell them this off the top, because anything you don't know, so if I hit them with, for example, are you changing your name? How do you want me to pronounce you at the end? Mr. and Mr. last name, or just, Sam and Alex? And they might look at each other, well, who's changing their name, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I say to them, I'm not going to sit here and kind of watch you argue or hash things out. You'll know what you know. We'll know what you don't know. That's why we're doing this 5 weeks ahead of time. Okay. So it does keep it to 1 hour. Please do keep it to 1 hour. It's one of those things about not exhausting your couple. Hit them with the options, move on. Do they want a wedding ritual, for example? Sometimes they say, well, we were thinking about a sand ceremony, but we're not sure. So I say, okay, I'll put the sand ceremony in the script. And if you don't want it, you take it out. So anything that they're tentatively thinking of, I put it in the spreadsheet. Yes, they want it. Let's put a tentative version of that in their script when I send it to them. It's always easier to take stuff out as opposed to then emailing saying, oh no, so you want that? Well, I didn't put it in. How do we put it in? Okay, what do you want? So just plan on things being in there, even if they're on the fence, and then delete them if they don't want it, okay? Now, when you come out of that meeting, again, it's only an hour, and you wrapped up by telling them, I'm going to take this data and I'm going to send you your script. What are you doing? You're going to go home, and I always do this. I try to do this the same day, the same afternoon, and prepare a ceremony script template. Now, of course, if you're in Unboring Wedding Academy, you copy my script. For every couple, you make a new copy of that, and then you just start adjusting and changing. You change the name, you change the time, you change that kind of thing. But you're not starting with a blank screen every single time. So prepare your script template. So make a copy, change their names, change the times, make it all right. And then you start deleting things that are not relevant, adding things that are, based on the workshop you had with them. I would never send this to a couple and ask them to do all these edits. No, you want to be doing that yourself. But again, you don't want to work with a blank screen. So that's why inside Unboring Wedding Academy, I've provided your starting script. It's full. And so you just make a copy of that and then change names and change times. But essentially, you're going to have the processional order. So much of it is the same. You're going to have the vows section, the ring exchange section, all that stuff. And they told you what they want in the wedding workshop. They'll tell you the ring style. So the template that's inside the course, for example, has all 3 contingency plans for the vows: writing and reading their own vows, repeating after me vows, or just saying I do vows. And so if the couple told me we just want to say I do, I'll delete the first 2. Or maybe a couple will say we want to write and read our own, but then we also want to say I do. Well, then I delete the middle ones. Okay. And that's where if they gave you certain vows, you plug them in, but it saves tons of time when you're not reinventing the wheel, starting with a blank screen every single time. You don't want that. And this allows your couple to get their script really quick. Like I say, typically within an hour, my couple has their script. Okay. So you've prepared that. Then you draft their ceremonies. This is kind of steps 1 and 2. First, you make that copy. Then you take your spreadsheet and you take that script and you start adding all the things that they wanted, all the things that they didn't want. You make sure are not in there. Customize the language, put all the names of their people and their parents and who's walking in and who's walking down and how you present them at the end. All the detail. My mantra about a script is if it's only the words you're saying, it's only half done. A script should have all the moving parts as well. And so they gave you all that detail in how they're walking and who's walking and all the processional stuff, dogs coming in, kids coming in, whatever it is. And you're going to put all that in the script. And of course, I teach that in stage 2 of Unboring Wedding Academy, because stage 1 is the workshop and stage 2 is the script. So essentially that's step 14. Once you get all that done, it is ready to send off to them. And now 15, you prepare the couple survey. Now, why are you doing this now? Because I would say hold off on sending them the script link. Ideally, you'll send in the same email the survey that you need to write their story and the script. I do that in the same email. So I prepare the script, I write their script, their draft, I call it, because it should be 90% done and everything they want, because all the information you put in there was from the wedding workshop, right? But now my focus ran out here. Let's do another hour, not of this, but of my computer not making noises. So then you put, I will have the link to their script, but then in the same email, I'll say, here's your script, link. Here's your survey, link. And again, in Unboring Wedding Academy, I give you the form, the questions. I'll talk more about this on Saturday, but essentially you just want to send them 5 questions. That's all you need to write an incredible, face-melting, unboring ceremony speech. And so you tell them, fill these out. Now, when I mean prepare the couple survey, you either want to write those down or create a Google form or a type form. I use Google Form in Unboring Wedding Academy, where you just have to make a copy and then send it to them. Wait for their answers to come in and it's done. So you want to make that copy, prepare it, put their names on it. But essentially it's saying answer these 5 questions. Every couple gets the same 5 questions from me. And it's exactly what I need to write the perfect love story. But it is 53 minutes after the hour. And so I'm going to take us to our next step here, which is email the survey and the script to your couple together. Put that in email. Like I say, here's the first draft of your script. There it is. And I do include these emails in Unboring Wedding Academy as well. You don't need to write these emails. They're done for you because you're going to follow this style and this system, right? So if you want those emails as well, they are in the bonuses section of Unboring Wedding Academy. I'll actually show you that for a couple minutes here. Coming up, I want to give you an insider look into Unboring Wedding Academy. I know there's many members in the chat who are familiar with this as well, but I want you to see this stuff because I send the email and say basically, here's your script draft. Take a look. Please look it over. Make sure it's everything you want it to be and nothing you don't want it to be, and make sure I didn't make any mistakes. And here's the link to your form. Please, it should take you about half an hour each separately to fill this out. I want both marriers to fill this out because the gold is the differences in the way they answer those questions. Again, more on this on Saturday. But just tell them that. Here's the 2 links. That's all you really need. I look forward to seeing you at the rehearsal. And believe it or not, because it's 4 to 6 weeks before the day, you are not up in their faces anymore. You just ask them for the homework, wait for them to complete it, and that will get you through to the next steps. At this point, you're just waiting for them to finish the survey. And that is as far as we are going to go today. Victoria has a great question. Do you ever talk to the couple about their love story at the wedding workshop? No, I don't, because like I say, I only want that to be an hour. And I know from experience that the survey I'm going to send them with those 3 love story questions and some email addresses from friends and relatives and what they love about each other. Those are the only 5 questions I ask. Those are the only 5 questions I need. And I want them to sit and think about it. I really want something about the exercise of writing really helps. My wife is a retired marriage and family therapist. And so for years, she talked about what a tool it was in the exercise of having couples talk about how they first got together. And that's actually a therapeutic tool, like a counseling tool. And so I love using their answers. This is really helpful coming up, for example, in the love story caster, where you just paste their answers in, click a button, and the story is generated in 3 minutes. And a good 8-minute story. That's perfect for telling in a ceremony, the perfect length. I want their answers. I want their answers in writing. I don't want them interrupting each other, etc. The goal, like I said, is them answering it separately. I absolutely love that. And so that's why I've, early on, I honed this process and realized when they send me that survey and answer it separately, there's so much gold there. And it's fun when they don't really know what each other said. And so I want to preserve that kind of secrecy, that surprise. And the best way to achieve that is in that kind of survey. Oh, Victoria said I answered your question. It sounds like I answered it before, but that's the method to my madness there. Ava says she refers to this meeting as designing your ceremony. That's awesome. That works too. I've had this conversation with a few others, including Cantor Mark. I call it the wedding workshop because I really like them to sense like we're going to work. We're going to get together and work. I don't want them to think this is a super easy, insignificant step. Let's see. Cycle Officiant. You did your 18 minutes on the bike. Congrats. High five. I'm no Peloton instructor, but good for you. The most educational, inspiring ride you've taken in a while. Awesome. Here's some questions. What are the superior differences Google Meet over Zoom? Okay, so I did talk about that a little bit. And it's been so long since I've used Zoom that frankly, I don't know. I just find Google Meet is, again, so accessible. Typically, everybody can access it very easily. You just need a Google account. And I do love that personal link that you get that you can send. I do love that it goes right into a Google Calendar instantly, that they can accept the invitation. You might be saying, hey, Zoom does all that. I just moved from Zoom to Google a while ago when I found it more accessible. And that's my take on that. So I'm not going to do a full-blown rundown comparison. I do want to show you now what Unboring Wedding Academy looks like inside. I can see that you can see my screen there. When you become a member, I want you to, this is what you see when you log in. So this is kind of an insider view. There's a welcome video from me. And then you'll see the training has 7 steps. I used to say 6 stages. Just added the love story caster. Like I say, this is our brand new AI tool that allows you to just plug in the story answers from your couple. We talked about sending them a form. You are going to log in, paste their answers in, and click a button, and it'll get sent straight to your inbox in 3 minutes. So I teach a 3-hour process inside Unboring Wedding Academy for writing the story. Now it can be done for you in 3 minutes, and you can tweak it. And it's available to all members for unlimited use for every single one of your wedding stories. It is changing people's lives. I can't live without it now. Members inside Unboring Wedding Academy have just been having their faces melted off. It's super fun to use because, again, you submit the answers. You don't really know what it's going to send you back. If you don't love the version, or you think maybe what else you got, you can resubmit it again. So sometimes members are doing 3 versions of the story and choosing their favorite paragraphs. That's what the love story caster is. So that's outside of the stages, kind of the stages proper, I would say. What you want to do, though, really is start with stage one. That's the workshop stage. And there's videos inside exactly how to cover. There's videos for every single one of these steps: how to kick it off, how to cover logistics, plan the pre ceremony. Of course, you get my spreadsheet, and you'll see these are all videos of the workshop stage. Then the script stage, and you get my script. I teach you about the formula, setting up the Google Doc, all that stuff, entering everything in, copy, paste, make it as seamless as possible. Then you're going to build the storyboard. So we're going to get to that tomorrow, where you take the responses from you survey your couple, exactly what I talked about today, how to send them the form, just copy mine, send it to them, and then start consolidating their answers so you can write it. And then we talk about how to write the story. Again, the love story caster has taken a lot of this out, but on Saturday I will show you. I still like to clean up the love story caster, even though I'm the one who designed the prompt and customized it. So it does sound a lot like me. It's super fun and down to earth. There, you still want to make sure with a rubric exactly how to tell the story, so it absolutely never fails. And then we have stage 5, how to run a rehearsal. This is a full breakdown of exactly what to look for. And then stage 6, how to show up, how to check in, and making your copy and your script and all that good stuff, and being ready on the day. One thing I do want to show you here is the resources and downloads. Like I say, if you go to the course resources, you are going to see that you get my spreadsheet, printable spreadsheet, script template, storyboard, the forms that I send my couple. But then also you get all these bonuses that I have been adding to over the years, in addition to the Love Story Caster just being there. You'll get your login when you purchase. All the vows you need, so a sampling of vows, a sample script of a full wedding, 10 sample wedding stories that I've written, prayer and blessing. I notice a lot of people want a kind of generic ecumenical prayer or blessing, so I've included that in a document. A Google tutorial video, because you do need to have an awareness of how to use Google, even though I do screenshots and screen flows video through every stage. This is like a one-stop Google tutorial video that I've created. A rehearsal checklist that you can carry into the rehearsal. All those emails that I said you're going to need to write your couple every step of the way for the ceremony process, those are in there. The Facebook group, of course, has almost 600 members in it, many of whom are the awesome people in this chat. I love the Unboring Wedding community so much. If you're inside, you know that. You make my life as rich as it is. And so you definitely want to jump in there if you're on Facebook. Big 3 rituals, hand fasting, sand mixing, and candle lighting. Those are the kind of the big 3 that a lot of people oh, it's right here: unity, candle, sand mixing, hand fasting. I was like, what, from memory. So those scripts are there for you. There's 2 bonus 10 and 11 are 2 ceremonies. A lot of people say, Mark, I want to see this in action. I want to see you officiate. So 2 of my couples have generously provided their ceremonies for you to watch. One of them is in a beautiful ballroom, and one of them is on a windy lawn. So it's like the environments could not be more different. But you get to see me and really the style and the system, the Unboring Wedding style and system in action there. And then a member directory. There's over 1,100 members, and this is kind of a self-managed thing, but members put their names into a spreadsheet. You can look at who's around you in whatever part of the world. There are people all over the world and colleagues connecting and referring each other when they're inside the Unboring Wedding community. So that is what Academy looks like. Like I said, all my tools, all my training, things for you to copy and take, and all those bonuses. At this point, I'm just going to say, Part 2 is tomorrow. I do want to make sure you are aware of our huge door crasher special today. I'm calling it the Caster Weekend because we are celebrating the Love Story Caster and how it has changed our lives, those of us who are inside Unboring Wedding Academy. Castor, you'll see I spell it with an O there. That's a bit of an inside joke. If you get my emails, you'll know where that comes from. The community started spelling it with an O as opposed to an E, and I gently told them that's how you say beaver in French and Spanish. So yes, thanks to people like Cantor Mark in the chat there, it is called the Beaver now. And so Beaver Weekend, yeah. I'm leaning into it. And so we're having our Black Friday Caster event. To those of you who have all the things, many of you have Academy and Pro and my website template as well. I just want to say I'm so thankful for you. I have nothing more to offer you in terms of things to sell, but this is why I continue to show up for you on training like this, and so many of you continue to show up for me, and I'm so thrilled for that. And we do have members only office hours every month on the last Tuesday of the month, where we can connect and just share what's going on. And of course, I got to see so many of you at Wedding MBA and treated you all to dinner, which was just a highlight of my 2023 as well. So thank you. Today is Thanksgiving. I'm going to wrap up really sappy here and say I'm just so thankful to every single member of Unboring Wedding Academy and Pro, and of course everyone who's done both and is certified. unboringweddingacademy.com/certified. If you want in on all that good stuff, go right now to unboringweddingacademy.com/Friday first and make sure you are on my list, because tomorrow morning you're going to get this bundle deal. You're going to get whatever you have. If you only have Academy and you want Pro in the website, if you only have Pro and you want Academy in the website, whatever it is, there will be something for you tomorrow. So I'm super looking forward to that. And I can't wait to be back here for part 2. Same time, same place. We'll pick up with step 17 tomorrow as I continue the process for the 36, yes, that awkward number, 36 steps, not a single one more, not a single one less, of exactly what you need, because we want that perfect balance. We want to be as thorough as we need to be. We don't want 100 steps, but we want to be efficient as well. We don't want just 5 steps, though. We need that perfect balance, okay? So Natalie says, so thankful for Unboring Wedding Academy. Natalie, I'm so thankful for you. I know you're just very recently jumped in, if this is the Natalie I believe it is, so thank you. Thank you, Victoria. I love that you were watching. Let's see. We've got Mark sending a lot of messages about Wedding MBA dinner here by you got to show up in person, man, to Fresco Italiano in Vegas next year. Hopefully I get to do that again if fate so allows. And so, yes, Mark, you did miss the freebies. I really hope you can show up at Wedding MBA, because you are missed when you're not there. Great. So I don't see any more deep questions here in the chat. Leo's here, also a member of Unboring Wedding Academy. Great to see you here. Yes, Mark, in person. I met you in 2019. I was never the same. Let's just leave it at that. 5 a.m., John. I think I'll sue. See, this is why members like you absolutely kill me. Go to bed. It's morning, John. Go to bed. And it's summer where you are. I'm so jealous. It must be nice. November in Australia means things are getting warmer, etc., etc. Spiders are getting bigger. And Ava here is saying she's going to grab that Pro. Awesome. I'm flattered, Ava, because I know you are already a pro doing amazing things, and so super awesome. Paul, you've been in our orbit for so long. I feel like you are a member, because you've been on lives. We've exchanged things on email. So super, super chuffed that you want to jump into Academy and get all the good things. Nina, good to see you. I'll be here tomorrow again. You can ruminate on any questions you have. Make sure you go to unboringweddingacademy.com/Friday first to find out tomorrow morning what great sale applies to you. Huge gratitude to you, Mark, for being along this journey with you. And like I say, I really am thankful for you. I can't believe I get to do this every day. And you're all so special and wonderful. So happy Thanksgiving. And even if it's not Thanksgiving, like those of us who are in the UK and Australia and Canada here, we can still be thankful. And I'm so thankful for you. And I love being here with you. Marry on, everybody. See you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Can't wait for part 2.